Hey, good evening, and welcome to the Buck Run Pastor Chat. We like to just have one evening a week where we just talk to one of our pastors. Obviously, I'm Herschel York, senior pastor at Buck Run, and this is Matt Morvay. Welcome, Matt.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Now look, I put it on. I put it on silent. I really did. I don't know how that's happening. All right, you know, I don't know. I don't know how that happened.
It's a great icebreaker.
I thought if you flipped a switch on the side, anyway, okay. So that's why I got to have brilliant guys around me. Right there is evidence, and you typically handle a lot of that stuff for me. So tell everybody what your official title is here.
Yeah, so my official title is assistant pastor.
And I love that title
Yep.
because it can mean a lot of things.
Yep.
It can mean you assist the pastor,
Yep.
and you're the pastor's assistant, or you are the assistant pastor.
Yep.
So you do all that, and you do it well.
Yep.
And tell us where you're from.
So originally from Michigan, I grew up in a small town called Tecumseh, Michigan. And then after high school, moved to Alabama. And that's where my parents currently live, up in Huntsville, Alabama. And so originally from Michigan, went to school in Alabama.
And you almost went to Michigan State, right?
I almost did. Yep.
So we're almost fellow Spartans.
Yep.
Do you cheer for the Spartans still?
I do. I do.
If Michigan State plays Auburn, who you for?
Auburn.
Okay.
War Eagle.
Okay.
Every time.
If Kentucky plays Auburn,
Auburn.
son, it's bad. So how old are you, Matt?
I'm 28.
And you are a PhD student I'll get it right, man. At Southern Seminary.
Yes, sir. Yep.
You did your MDiv there,
Yep.
and now doing a PhD in preaching.
Yep.
Who's your supervisor?
You are.
All right. Now here's the thing. Everybody is dying to know this. What do you think you're going to write your dissertation on?
So, as of right now, is the relationship between the structure of the text and the structure of a sermon, and utilizing discourse analysis, understanding macro structure and how that influences the way you preach to an audience, and knowing your context.
That's great. Where'd you get that brilliant idea?
From my brilliant supervisor.
Okay, good idea. It's something similar to what I wrote. It's in the same area that I
Yep.
wrote my dissertation on, and something that fascinates me. So that's great. Now, I know people are much more interested in the better part of you, though. Tell us about Lacey, your wife.
Yeah, so Lacey, we met at the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary. We met at seminary, and in Old Testament 1 with Dr. Betts. And it was there that she knew who I was before I actually met her. But we met in the hallway of Southern Seminary, and ended up getting coffee, getting to know one another. And after a few of those coffee dates, going on legitimate dates, but really the coffee dates were dates.
A date's a date.
That's right. We ended up just really enjoying one another. I loved her heart. I loved her passion for the Lord. She's specifically passionate about family ministry, which I love. And so,
I tell Christian singles, especially single guys at Southern, you find a woman who's passionate for Jesus, she will be passionate for you too.
yep,
You'll be fine in second place there.
that's right.
So I think you're at least my second staff member I've ever had who met his wife at seminary. Jeff Pennington did too.
Okay, yeah.
So Lacey's from where?
She is from Bradenton, Florida.
And so she came to seminary, and you guys met there.
Yep.
How long did you date?
4 months.
4 months?
Yep.
From dating to marriage?
No.
Oh.
So we dated for 4 months, then we got engaged after dating for 4 months. And then we were
That's-
engaged for 10 months. So
14
14 months total.
Okay. 14 months from meeting
Yep.
to marriage.
Yep.
You're slow, man.
I
You're
know.
slow. And you have one child, a daughter,
Yes. Yeah.
Collins. How old is Collins now?
She is, I guess, coming up on 16 months, so just under a year and a half.
Yeah.
I don't know when you stop saying months and get
Yeah.
into the
I think after 2.
after 2.
But
Okay.
after they hit 24 months, you don't go, she's 28 months. But I think you do up till 2.
Okay. Yeah. It's about 16.
And you had a video, I think, on Facebook this week of you dancing with
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
So I'm wondering if you could show us those moves right now. You could bust that out.
Yeah, you do not want that to happen.
Okay. Actually, it was the good Baptist preacher two-step.
Yep.
There.
Yep.
Yeah, that's about as far as I go.
Yep. That's about as far as good as I can
How
get.
you like being a dad?
Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. There's nothing like it, and so it's fun to go home and have Colin say "Dad, Dad," and start running up to you and just it's one of the most enjoyable things.
It really is. How long have you been here at Buck Run now?
2 years in May, so 2 years next month.
And tell us what as assistant pastor that you do have, other than taking care of me, which you do marvelously at both ends of I-64. But tell us what you do here at Buck Run.
Yeah, so 2 areas that I really focus on here at Buck Run is our assimilation and then local outreach as well. So assimilation, caring for first-time guests, really thinking through the aspects of guest services, membership process, overseeing membership interviews, follow-up with folks. That's one major piece. And then another one is local outreach. And particularly that is seen through Serve Frankfurt and Reach Frankfurt, an evangelism initiative, and then intentionally serving, which is also evangelism, like hoping to build relationships for evangelism. So those are big components, and then also just pastoral care as well. So different counseling, and then discipleship relationships as well.
All right, now that's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that takes place under your leadership. Let's talk about basically welcome teams. I want people to know what all goes into that. So one of these days when we're back on property, this will matter again.
Yep.
But we really want to create a certain experience when people come here
Yeah.
to Buck Run. So tell us how you think about it and how you recruit people to do that and what it is you're asking them to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So our welcome team is so much more than just folks opening the door for people and just saying hi. It is seeking to engage people. I encourage our folks to try to take as much of the awkwardness off of other folks when they feel out of place or if they don't know where to go. Just absorb that awkwardness and try to engage folks, make them feel welcomed, really express hospitality to them. And so in the welcome team, I really want to recruit people who exude hospitality themselves, and put them in particular spots so they can engage guests rightly. And then if you're thinking through the structure of the welcome team in many ways starts in the parking lot.
Right.
Starts with signage, starts with people who are helping park cars, who are very hospitable, friendly, and then all the way into the sanctuary.
Do you anticipate we're going to have to rethink all this after this pandemic?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I anticipate handshaking is going to be done at least for a while.
Yeah.
Maybe forever. Already, I saw Dr. Fauci is suggesting that handshaking should be done.
Yep.
And it's been so much a part of our culture in the United States, especially at Buck Run. So we're really going to have to think about, hey, what do we replace it with?
Right.
People need to do something that acknowledges you matter, and I welcome you, receive you. So that's going to be a challenge. You're going to have your hands full with that, aren't you?
Yep.
Talk to us about, so if someone, let's say someone responds on a Sunday, whether they come forward at the end of a service or they check the box on the Connect card that says, I want a personal relationship. I want to know more about a personal relationship with Jesus. Tell us what happens.
Yeah, so folks who do either of those things, um, first thing Monday morning, usually, sometimes if they come forward and we're able to catch each other in the lobby, we'll try to set up a time to meet right then and there. But usually on Monday, that information will come through. If they come forward, they fill out a card, and so we get that a little bit faster. But if they fill out their Connect card, we get that in the afternoon
We have
before.
volunteers that go through that
Yep,
and
yep, before
fill
staff
those
meeting.
out for us.
And then we connect with those folks immediately. So Monday afternoon, usually myself or someone on our team, our follow-up team, is engaging those folks, depending on the level of response they have. So if they wanted to know more about a relationship with Christ, usually I'll be the one doing that. We've had interns at other times connect with folks who wanted to join a community group or some other things. But man, if the Spirit of God is working in people and they want to respond to the gospel, we want to follow up with them immediately and have that conversation.
We don't want to ever put any obstacles in anyone's way.
Nope.
And we don't want people to fall through the cracks.
Yep.
So if they indicate they want any kind of follow-up, more information, they want to know how to articulate a decision they're making or whatever,
Yep.
we're going to follow up with them, right?
That's right.
We're not dropping anybody through the cracks
Yeah.
because, man, they matter.
Yep.
For one, people, they think growing a church is I don't know, people think it's either easy or it's magic. It's hard work.
Yeah.
To reach people and to continue to grow.
Yeah.
And you have to treat every person as special, as individual, because they are.
Yeah.
They're created in the image of God. God's doing a work in their life. And if God is gracious to bring us people, man, we want to embrace them, love them, and show them the gospel. And you do a great job of that. I think the very first time I met you, I asked you what you wanted to do or like, and somehow I remember you going, I just really love telling people how to be saved. I really love personal evangelism. I really like telling people the gospel. And I remember thinking, man, I don't hear that from many people. There are a lot of people are scared of evangelism. What is it about you that makes you like it?
Yeah. It was since coming to faith in Christ, my dad shared the gospel with me at a young age. I trusted in Christ when I was about 7.5, 8 years old-ish. I don't remember precisely the date of that. But I remember after that happening, just this burden that came down in my heart of like, if I am a sinner, and there's a righteous punishment for sin, and God has sent his perfect and good Son to die in my place so I can have a relationship with him forever, then I need to tell people this. And right after that, I remember having a couple of my soccer buddies over and saying like, hey, I need to tell you about a relationship with Christ. And that was at a very young age, like just a couple weeks after my own salvation. And ever since then, I went through middle school, high school, early years, was not as passionate about evangelism as I am now, but the Lord was stirring in my heart. And there's a mission trip that I took in New Orleans with our student ministry, my junior year, and that entire trip was building relationships with folks down in New Orleans, leading a camp ministry, and seeking to share the gospel with kids through relationships. And it was there that I really grew just this passion of like learning the Bible, studying the Bible, teaching the Bible, and telling people about Christ. And so that was a really big intentional outlet to do so. And then just wanting to evangelize and share the gospel in different places that I worked with, and just watching God be so faithful in nothing that I said, but the power of the gospel just at work in people's lives.
Well, you've been an incredible, just a gift to Buck Run. I think I I first heard about you from Bill Cook, who is my colleague at Southern Seminary, teaches New Testament there, and the pastor of Ninth and O.
Yep.
And you were finishing up your MDiv.
Yep.
And you were thinking about going to another seminary that shall not be named. And he said to me, you need to get this guy. You need to not let him go to this other seminary. He wants to do a PhD in preaching. And I'm trying to remember exactly how it happened. But I think he even suggested he'd really be great with you at Buck Run. And were you already in my shepherding group, or was it after that?
So it was Dr. Cook who encouraged me to join your shepherding group to build a relationship with you specifically.
So it was about at the same time
Yep.
that was happening. I couldn't remember chronology.
But he emailed you, and I had no idea about that email.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So that's what I think it was in my shepherding group where you talked about how much you loved sharing the gospel with people, and so man, the rest is history. I asked you if you'd like to come. First of all, I encourage you to do the PhD at Southern.
That's right.
And then as things opened up here, I wanted to get you here. And my colleagues at Southern who pastor churches in Louisville complain that they train guys and then I steal them at Buck Run. But I say that just makes me the smart guy. I mean, I'm going to plead guilty to that and say, well, of course. Why would I do otherwise?
Yeah.
That you play minor league ball, then you come to the majors. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. So, how long have you been at Buck Run?
2 years next month.
2 years next month.
Yep.
And you've taken some trips with me, haven't you?
I have.
You got any trip stories? Like, I know Chris had a trip story. I don't think I've done anything particularly.
No,
weird.
nothing that stands out of the ordinary.
Yeah, I'm an ordinary guy.
Yeah, the only one was probably the most recent one to Oklahoma, of having just this thought that I might get stuck in Oklahoma for a couple hours, but that wasn't.
Yeah, we had a really tight connection coming back.
Yep.
And I made you fool with the luggage because if only one of us was going to make that connection, it was going to be me.
Yep.
I mean, and you were very, very gracious. I sat in the front of the plane. You sat way in the back. And, one time when Chris went with me somewhere, I let him have my upgrade. I let him have my first class seat. But there was not a time element involved. And last time, I just want you to know, when I got that upgrade, if I'd had time, I'd have let you have it. But I was scared to death that we were going to make that connection in Atlanta. I had to get back to preach or something. I forget.
Yep. Yeah, you were preaching that night.
So, yeah, it was my birthday too, wasn't it? It was my birthday.
That was your birthday. Yep.
It was my birthday. I didn't want to miss preaching at Buck Run on my birthday.
Right.
So, anyway, it was a good trip.
It was.
You really have a wonderful humility about you. You know, one of the greatest testimonies of a guy is what his wife says about him. And you just had a birthday.
Yeah.
How long ago?
It was on Monday.
Monday, this week.
Yep.
And I saw Lacey post about you, just how pleasant you are, how you're always smiling. You're a joy to live with. I think that's a great description of the fruit of the Spirit. Yeah. I just don't think a person can have the fruit of the Spirit and not be enjoyable to live with. And I think you always exhibit that. You and Lacey ever have an argument?
Never. Absolutely not. Yes.
Is it usually your fault?
Almost every single time. My fault entirely.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Tanya and I, I would say our number one argument through now going on 40 years of marriage would be my tone of voice. Now, that doesn't happen as much anymore, but for years, that was the number one sort. Is there a number one thing?
Yeah, one of the most common ones is I can get very stressed out at home, just with my own lack of discipline in some areas and some other things, and I can get stressed out and just be like, she'll ask me very kindly, what do you think about this? What do you want for dinner? What, etc. I'm like, it doesn't matter to me. Whatever you want. I don't mean it in a short tone, but it is similar to tone. Um, but I can be stressed
That's
out.
not similar to tone. That's
Yeah, that
tone.
is tone. But I can get stressed out, and I can let it affect me and not leave things where they should be, and be completely ready to go when I get home or interact with my wife. And so, still certainly learning that, and seeking to be repentant and love her in those ways. But
Repentance isn't something you just do when you get saved, is it?
yeah, nope,
Man, it's a lifestyle.
yep.
So how are you dealing with this isolation, the coronavirus stuff? How's it affecting you
Yeah.
emotionally, spiritually?
Yeah. So, how my personality functions is, I'm a very big extrovert. I love being around people.
Mm-hmm.
I love hugging people. I love, giving people a pat on the shoulder, whatever it is. And so this is a big learning curve, because I can't be very close with people. I really can't gather with people, and I certainly can't touch people.
Just before we went on the air, I told you, you're too close, man. You're hovering over me.
That's right. So just in that regard, it's a little difficult, because I'm having to retrain myself in some interaction, which probably isn't a bad thing in some ways. But for my family and spiritually, in some ways, this has been very refreshing. It's been difficult not gathering together with the people of God.
Yeah.
That's been very tough, and not seeing those folks in person and hearing their voices. But it's really made me slow down in a lot of ways. And being at home, you're having to self-isolate and be at home more. That's really helped my relationship with Lacey and Collins.
Tanya and I were talking last night. They were on the news. We're talking about watch out, domestic violence can spike during this time, that kind of thing. And I told Tanya, I said, I think really what it is I don't think it's that suddenly people that don't, that never abuse their spouse suddenly start abusing a spouse or the kid. I think whatever you have normally, you're going to get magnified during a time like this.
Yeah.
So if you and your wife enjoy being together, suddenly you're put in there together, I think you're going to find ways to enjoy each other more.
Yeah.
There's a even greater joy to it.
Yeah.
If you find it hard to be together, I think you're going to find it harder to be together in a time like this. I think whatever you are, apart from the grace of God, you're going to get it in spades.
Yeah.
So this is a great time for couples, especially, to say, all right, there's some things we need to reset. If they're struggling being together, they probably need to say, let's just have a time of mutual repentance. Let's go before the Lord and reset some things. What do we need to do differently? And I think this can be a really healthy time.
Yeah, that's good.
The thing is there is more time. Like for me, the big thing is less travel time. I'm not driving back and forth to Louisville at all. I did today for the first time in weeks.
Yeah.
But I'm as busy, I think, as ever. I don't know. Are you? It's different.
Yeah, it's a very different kind of busy.
It is, but man, like I got up early this morning. I have had hardly any time to breathe today. I'm doing teaching classes online. I did some podcast interviews on other people's podcasts today.
Yeah.
Tomorrow I'm going to have my first funeral during this time.
Yeah.
That's going to be tough. 10 people allowed in the funeral home.
Yeah.
This is a very different time.
Yeah.
But what a time to seek the Lord, to realize, man, our dependence on Him. The things that we normally default to suddenly are not there.
Yeah.
And so there needs to be an intentional seeking of Christ. This is Easter weekend. It's going to be tough.
Yep.
Not to be together. Our church family feels really different. Normally, we'd be gearing up for 3 services on Sunday or 2 or whatever. And but you know what? I don't know about you, but I'm not unhappy.
Yeah.
I miss
No.
it,
Yeah.
but our folks are being so fantastic. I mean,
They
Buck
are.
Run people are amazing.
Yep.
So, what's Easter Sunday going to be like here at Buck Run?
Yeah. So we're gonna have the sunrise service at 7:05 out here, and then 10:45 normal service time, live stream, and just a really exciting time of celebrating the resurrection of Christ. And I know Adrian, our worship pastor, is intentionally just beefing up the worship service in many ways, and have more worship songs, and it's gonna be awesome.
You mentioned Adrian, and you are part of a phenomenal team here at Buck Run. The Lord has blessed us.
Yeah.
Our young guys are not as young guys, meaning me and Wesley and Dave. We're the old guys on the team.
Yeah.
You guys, and now we got Will coming on
Yep.
with you. It really is an amazing team of guys.
It is.
And I think we all get along. I think we all complement each other well. We work together well. We're for one another.
Yeah.
There's not petty jealousies and that kind of thing on our
No,
staff.
yeah.
It's an amazing thing, isn't it?
It is. It absolutely is.
Yeah. Now, tell me why you're so much better than the other guy.
I'm not
No.
by any means.
Hey, it really, there is an amazing just fit, I
Yep.
think, in our staff.
There is.
So, like, did you know any of these guys did you know Scott?
I did not.
Both of you had gone to 9th and O.
Yeah, we both went to 9th and O, and kind of our, at 9th and O they call them Bible Fellowship Groups, BFGs. So Scott was in a BFG, and when he was coming to Buck Run, that BFG multiplied, became another BFG. So he had left, and when I came in, I went to that multiplied BFG. So we had just missed each other. Lacey and I went in there. And then as I was coming to Buck Run, our BFG multiplied as well. As people were growing, people come in.
That's great.
And so I didn't know Scott. I met Chris when I first came here to meet with you and see Buck Run.
What's
Yeah.
neat to me is to see you guys come here. You don't know each other, but you become incredible friends. Your wives are close, and kids are growing up together.
Yep.
It's just it's a beautiful picture.
Yep.
All right, you ready for the twinkling of an eye round?
We'll see.
I mean, you've
I
heard me
hope
do
so.
it. Heard me do it with a lot of people, so surely you won't be taken off guard by any of these. Your favorite Auburn basketball player of all time?
Charles Barkley.
That's it. So, have you ever had your picture made with a statue of him?
No, not yet. I have not been to the basketball arena. I don't think since the statue is up. Scott and I went to an Auburn, Tennessee football game where Tennessee won, unfortunately, but we did not make it over to the basketball arena because it's an early kickoff.
Your favorite Auburn basketball coach?
Bruce Pearl.
Bruce Pearl.
Yep.
Oh, okay. I like Bruce Pearl.
I did too.
Yeah. Favorite Auburn football player?
Cam Newton.
Cam Newton. That's a good choice. All right. I got to get off of Auburn. Favorite secular author or book?
Oh, man. That's a tough one. So I haven't, disclaimer, I've not read a secular book in at least a couple of years. One of the ones I'm most looking forward to is a History of the United States by Joe Lepore. But then, as a whole, when I'm reading, I also enjoy reading stories. And so, not secular, but like J.R.R. Tolkien, C.S. Lewis, J.K. Rowling is more secular, but yeah.
You. All right. Have you ever read any Shelby Foote?
I have not.
You need to read Shelby Foote.
Okay.
His History of the Civil War would feed both of those things.
Okay. Shelby Foote.
He began as a novelist and basically became a historian, but he writes in this beautiful narrative. It's not dry history. Shelby Foote. Did you ever see Ken Burns' thing on the Civil War?
Not that I can remember. No.
Okay, well, Shelby Foote's featured in it a lot. He's had a marvelous voice. Really, yeah, I recommend Shelby Foote's.
Shelby Foote.
Yeah,
Okay.
Civil War history to you. It's really great. Yeah. Okay, your dream vacation. Where would you like to go?
Lacey and I talk about it. We would love to go. We would love to go somewhere like Greece, Europe. Just get like our own little private house, Airbnb type thing.
Yeah,
And just
it's a thing, man.
be there for a couple weeks.
Beach or mountains?
Beach,
Ford or Ferrari?
Ferrari.
Okay,
Go fast.
yeah. Well, I brought some gifts for you.
All right.
You ready for these? I brought them in a Toomey bag,
All right.
but I'm not giving you this Toomey bag. I do have something from Toomey for you. So this is a Toomey bag of sorts. This is so if you fly Delta One, they're international. It's their goodie bag for first class passengers.
Awesome.
Toomey. All right, there you go. Giving everybody
Thanks.
Toomey something. All right, and I'm loyal to Delta.
I do.
All right, this is super cool. I want you to know that this is super cool. This is like vintage I'm going to say 60s. And just before I was flying Delta, I was a kid, but they would give these out. Like if you flew first class, you said, "Hey, can we have a deck of cards?" So that's 2 decks of cards, one of them unopened with New York, Chicago on it. This is just super cool, vintage Delta 2 decks of cards. You can snap that on your own. All
That's
right?
great. Lacey and
All
I
right.
love playing cards.
All right. And I like little espressos, right?
I do.
My favorite brand is
Nespresso.
Nespresso.
Yep.
I tried another brand, Illy, and it was pretty good, but I drank them all up. But I'm going to give you this nifty container.
That's
this
great.
Illy container, metal. There you go. I like
Thank you.
containers. And you always let your light shine. So here is a little lamp from Jerusalem, a little oil lamp.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
It's not old. It's made to look old, but it's very modern. So in other words, it's a fake. And let's see what else I got here. Oh, speaking of Nespresso, so this is a Nespresso cup. Really nice coffee Nespresso cup. There you go, man.
All right.
So
Thank
we have
you.
Nespresso machines at the office
That's right.
here and at Southern. You can use that. And Alan Thompson's exegetical guide to the Greek text of Luke.
That's great.
So there you go, man. Well, I know I'm almost, I'm 3/4 of the way through the book, but you can study along with me as we go.
Yeah.
And
Great.
a cross fountain pen.
Wow.
There you go.
Well, thank you.
So
It's a nice fountain pen.
yeah, it's a very nice fountain pen.
Wow.
And I appreciate you very, very much, man. You're a joy to work with. I should tell people you are what's called my Garrett Fellow at Southern. So you do my grading and help me with all my online classes. Well, all my classes. Well, they're all online now. But
That's right.
you help me with all my classes. You coordinate with my executive assistant there. Yeah. So you take care of me here at the church and at Southern. And, man, I can't tell you how many times Tanya and I sing your praises. And we just thank God for you. You are an incredible blessing to me. So thanks, Matt. I'm glad you're at Buck Run. I'm glad to serve Jesus with you. And I pray the Lord's blessing on your life and ministry for many years to come.
Well, thank you.
Well, folks, thanks for tuning in to Pastor Chat. Don't forget, tomorrow night we have our Good Friday service. Looking forward. Scott, that's at what time? 6 o'clock. Our Good Friday service. here at Buck Run. You can tune in on Sunday. We're going to have sunrise service. You say 7:05?
Yep.
That is literally sunrise, right?
Yep.
Literally sunrise. So tune in at 7:05 for a brief sunrise service. It's different than the 10:45 service. Not doing the same thing at those two things. So you'll tune back in at 10:45. Don't forget, we're doing Drive by Annie.
Mm-hmm.
And on Sunday, if you can, and you will, we're asking you to drive here to the church. We're going to have a drop-off receptacle. You won't get out of your car. You won't touch anybody or anything, but you can drop your Annie Armstrong offering in, and we can wave to you, and we can see each other. And we need an excuse to do that. Annie Armstrong is a great excuse to do that, so we can still bless our missionaries. Give what you can, and we want to be a blessing to them and not forget them. One other thing, Scott, can I announce about our program on Sunday? What channel is that going to be on? The CW? Whatever the channel, the CW channel out of Lexington. They're going to broadcast an Easter service from 3 churches, and Buck Run's one of them. It's going to be at 11 o'clock. Now, it'll be recorded, so you want to watch live to see what's going on live. We're going to record this one early, and it's going to be an Easter service, but it's going to go out on the CW network out of Lexington. And what a great gospel opportunity. So pray that the Lord will use that. How many people just flipping through might stop and hear the gospel? And we're praying that the Lord will use that and that someone will be saved from hearing the gospel preached. So the Lord's doing a lot of good things, even in this time. Thank you for your faithfulness. Thanks for tuning in. And Lord willing, I'll see you tomorrow night at our Good Friday service. God bless.